We aren't meant to be perfect, but whole. That's a good one. Sometimes I am fond of Hanoi Jane. Paper Girl I have, but I have not made the archives public. If you want to email me, I'd share it with you. But I didn't want it to be a publicly available archive. Just because some people don't understand that stuff, and I didn't really want to. It affects people other than those who are involved, quite frankly. Alright, we're only at 6:20, which means so Spanky is asking about the Bureau of Land Management apparently announced today that they are going to allow Burning Man to have 60,900 as the cap for this year's Burning Man, which is a big jump. I think it's 10,000 more than they had last year. And quite frankly, I have not read there's something in the Burning Man blog that says, what does that mean? So I don't know exactly what that means. I guess that's good, right? That means that they've already sold 50,000. There's like 10,000 more tickets of it potentially. Although they, as the organization, they also got in trouble because they have to figure out, like, they can have more than 60,000 at a time. They can still, over the course of the week have a lot more people, and sometimes people come at the beginning of the week and build things and they leave before the big rush at the end, and so their challenge is trying to figure out how to keep the number at all times, below 60,000. So I don't know if that means, I don't know what that means. But clearly it's better than less. Well, maybe not. Who knows? I guess we'll learn. You're welcome, Krishna Brody. There are far worse songs to have stuck in your head than Madonna's Borderline, or any Madonna, actually. I could start singing Ray of Light. That's a much better song to have stuck in your head. Except it's a little higher than I can sing. So I guess I can talk a little bit about this afternoon stuff. But you gotta promise, well, whatever. We'll try it. Keep pushing my love. Okay, so the other topic of today was taking the high road is its own reward. And there's a few things that had put that on my mind. It's something that I've always been frustrated by, that it seems like in our culture, just doing the right thing is not often given the value that I think it should be. We're so often encouraged to do what we can get away with. I was looking at some stats today about the number of high school students that think cheating is okay, or that do cheat, and you basically do what you need to do to get ahead because that is important, and you're judged not by your morality but by your success, by that rules. And that whole situation, I think, really highlights the challenge with our culture in that it measures things. Success has such a limited, what we include in success is so limited. So much has to do with money and status and professional achievement, and it doesn't. We take that to be just normal, but that's kind of a choice. It's not even built into who we are as people. There's a lot of things that are built into people. There's cooperative, evolutionary traits that have come out, and there's also, competitive traits that have come out. But the state that we're in now with the competition, so, our cultural story is that competition and winners or, success is all about the people who win the competitions. But there are cultures, there have been tribes and such, that believe that if you take more resources than you can use, it's a form of mental illness. And if you take a step back, that makes sense. What kind of person would take 6 helpings of food while somebody else in their tribe was starving? That's sick. That's like a sociopath. But in our culture, it's absolutely normal. Not just 6 helpings, 1 billion helpings. And somehow we have, because of the story we told ourselves, have got to a place where, well, they're winning. According to the game, they're winning, they're successful. We applaud them. But we need to start looking into what are the other measuring sticks. Because truthfully, we know the people that are winning, that doesn't make them happy. And if you're playing that game, you're always... The reason why, if you're winning that game and you get $1 million, you're happy for a little bit, and then you got to get more, you got to get more, you got to get more, because it's just this constant state. You got to win means more. But if you change the game so that the objective is not to get things from the world, but is instead you see the entire world as the playing board, and your objective is try to be your highest self as you interact with the world, then you have the possibility of being in a constant state of winning. Every choice you make can be your best self. Every choice you can be the high road. So every time you are doing what is the thing in integrity, even if it's hard, even if it means you have consequences, every time you make that choice, you win, you win, you win. And you are getting more and more in alignment with love, with the source, with your potential. And that can be very hard, because as you do that, this game will gonna mock you. They're going to call you a chump. They're going to try to walk all over you. And you have to remind yourself and others that, hey, I know those people are yelling at you, and those people are judging you and laughing at you because you don't have enough money to whatever. But dude, you win. You did the right thing. Thank you. And so hopefully we can inspire each other to do that. This was brought up because I had a friend who was kind of faced with a bunch of aggression over a couple days ago, and really tried to be peaceful about the whole situation. And it was tough, because he felt like they won. They yelled at him. The cops were like, "What do you expect?" And there's all the owner of the company was like, "Whatever." And so he's just like, oh, I did the right thing and I lost. And I was like, that's what made me think of this whole topic. It's like, no. If you're playing their game, you lose. And even if you're playing the game where you're like, I'm trying to stop jerks from, I want to keep people nicer, that game is doomed. The world is always going to have people who are jerks, who take advantage. The key is snapping out and going, oh, if you're a jerk, if you take advantage, if you manipulate, and if you're deceitful and you lie, any of those things, it doesn't matter how you score in this game, because the only thing that really matters, the kind of person you are, the energy you put into the world, you've lost that. So you have to keep making that distance of what the cultural game is, about what people care about, and what you care about, and what your higher self cares about. And, it's crazy how much, we consider ourselves a Christian culture, but Jesus said a lot about what we can bring to heaven, and what treasures we can stockpile. And I'll give you a hint. It's not the cars, the planes, and the jet skis. It's our good deeds, our acts, and our forgiveness. So, for all of us playing that game, high five! Because you can win it constantly, and we can all win. And the more we encourage one another, the easier it gets, and the more fun it is. So thanks for being on my team. Yeah! Speak in love and be of joy. I use love and joy somewhat interconnected at times. They're both words. Bye, Salam Alayo. Tell us about Gala Darling. Bailey says, love is the best answer because love always wins. You know what? That's a pretty insightful thing to say, because you know what? That's kind of like the phrase, or there's some saying that, like, no amount of darkness can extinguish even the smallest spark. Meaning that even with all the evil in the world, all the bad people, a little bit of love still shines bright. You cannot, you know, it's its own game. It's its own realm. And so that cultivating that, anyway. So Gala Darling, we met a long time ago online, and we actually, I think we met for the first time in Austin at South by Southwest a few years ago. And, you know, we've been very supportive of one another. Gala is a style blogger, kind of lives international playgirl lifestyle, and is very into shopping and cool, stylish things, and takes pictures as she goes around the world and does those things. But she's also very into what she calls radical self-love, and she's gone through her dark periods, and so she's trying to encourage, you know, mostly women to embrace their beauty, to embrace self-love, and you know, which is so cool, because as she is within this kind of fashion world, which by its very nature is trying to, like, you know, disintegrate most women's self-worth so that they need to buy things to fix it. But she kind of tries to embrace it from embrace your personal style, and, you know, take your style and amplify it by shopping, not fix who you are with these products. So she lives in New York, came to LA last week, and so I went up and we hung out, and it was great. It was super fun. And so I recorded that conversation and put it online on my Vimeo channel, which has got all this all the interviews with Dimitri, as well as I just added the one from her, and I got a few other people that I'm trying to line up that I really want to talk to. So I hope that goes through. One of the things that I'm trying to do in my new jobless state is try to make the conversations series kind of get deeper, as well as, you know, entertaining, starting to take on 2 or 3 maybe coaching clients, and then trying to write more, and then also try to prepare for some bigger cooler speaking engagements like TEDx San Diego or TEDx America's Finest City, that is July 14th, that I'm spending a lot of time gearing up for. That's the quick download. And it's only 6:30, wow. Sometimes time flies, and sometimes... How many clients do I have right now? 1.5. But as soon as we find that guy's legs, it'll be 2. Bum, bum. What will I talk about on the TED Talks? I mean, the talk that I've been working on, I guess the theme of it is how selfishness, when you integrate gratitude and gifting, can be an amazing tool to change the world. You know, then you can you know, I talk about selfless service or service without sacrifice, that, you know, I tend to do good things in the world, not because I feel like I'm doing the right thing, but because it makes me feel good. It's that selfish instinct to make myself happier. The byproduct, because other people's joy brings me joy, is that the world gets lit up. And so that's kind of what I was going to talk about. And so I talk a little bit about, you know, being cocky bastard in the day, and then grandpa story, and then Crapper Cone if I have time to tell that story, and then Burning Man and explain gifting, and then how that all came to a head with First Saturdays, and then kind of trying to close it. I need to work on the closing a little bit, but yeah, should be the practice one I did today was about 15 minutes, and it'll be a good experience for me to be in a polished, certain set time with visuals. This how we're talking right now is how I normally speak, and that's awesome. I love it, but it's a good stretching for me to get more rehearsed. I guess I think about like I'm much more of a freestyle dancer, but it'd be nice to learn how to do like a choreographed routine. So the TED Talk will be a more choreographed routine of speaking than my normal just shake it out. Congratulations, Pizza Mancer. Anyone have something going on in their life that they'd like to have a little feedback or advice or even a question that they're, how is it possible that blah, 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 blah? Will Hug Nation have a booth at San Diego Pride? No, the captain of the gay mothership has no plans for Pride right now. Maybe I'll see if Rage Magazine's going to do a float. What day is Pride? How do you balance the need to make money and the desire to do good? Oh, what a great question. What a great question. Lovely Luna Girl asked, how do you balance the need to make money and the desire to do good if you feel that the people that need your help the most and can't pay you? Well, I think one thing that I'm a big believer in is that wherever you are is the place where you can be doing good. If you don't need to be at a soup kitchen, you don't need to be, doing environmental work. I think people often are attracted to those things because they're obvious. They feel like, oh, I'm obviously doing good. And that's one reason why we do the Help the Homeless, is because it's so black and white. This person is hungry, you give them food, I'm doing a good thing. But the reality is that every interaction we have is a potential to be kind and be good. So if you need to make a living or pay your bills or acquire resources so that you can live in a way that is not totally in line with your what you interpret to be your path of giving, that's something that we just have to work with. I might not be the best person to answer this question because I have definitely made compromises throughout my life. I've never just kind of thrown it all to the wind and pursued my dreams and tried to make money doing what I love. I had a few periods in my life when I did do that, where I was making a living based on kind of my art. And I found it to be very difficult because if you are acting, if you're trying to fulfill artistic impulses and the other part of your brain is saying keep in mind, we gotta sell that, don't make it too weird, don't make it too sexual. Maybe you should put in a local landmark so we can sell it easier at the local, art walk. Now, that is a really hard kind of division to go, no, stay in integrity with my art. shut off that other part of my mind that's stressed about the rent. And so I made the choice through most of my life to have an avenue of making money that was at least creative, at least allowed me to interact with cool people or something, or at the very least, at least didn't take all my time and energy. So when I was done with that, I still had energy to go do things that I did like. And then I could do the things I like Hug Nation, and I don't have to think, how am I going to make money with Hug Nation? I can just go, sweet, I'm here, I'm in it, and it's exactly, it is absolutely pure in its expression, or my expression of it. So I say that, not that that is the correct solution, it's a solution. A big part of me would love to find a way to totally integrate so that everything I do is also paying the bills. But I recognize that it takes a practice to not let that financial, commercial pressure affect what you put out there. So one thing also that I resonate with, this may or may not with you, is that I don't think of the world or of charity or service or actions in terms of quantity, or magnitude. I think of it in terms of degree or direction. So if you are making little bitty movements towards a direction that you feel is right, the sum of that is that you're going in the direction of good. In the scope of the universe, everything in our planet is small. So we just need to be going in the right direction. So if you can't help as many people as possible, that's okay. If you can help one person, if you can even facilitate the helping of one person, that's huge. If you can then, as you go through, train your life and commitment so that you can help put more and more of your energy towards things that make your heart soar more and more, awesome. But don't rob yourself the joy of small good because you think you should be doing bigger good. If that is the case, you will head that direction. You will find a way, as the joy of that small good will then, the vibration of that excitement that you get will then draw in more, and I believe you'll get more and more opportunities to practice that. We have this system where money and commerce govern so much, and so trying to find ways that you can work with it without losing track of who you are and what's important is hard. It's definitely one of the big ones between relationships and within ourselves. So, I wish you luck. And, maybe one of the things you do is that you work X amount of time for money so that you can give away your services or give away things to people that need it. That being said, no freebies. No, just kidding. All right. I know I've missed a lot of good questions. Spanky said, can you speak on how to balance yes and no answers when it comes to helping others? Oh. Neil Gaiman, I think that's how you pronounce his name, the writer, he just did this commencement speech. And one of the things that he said in the speech that I thought was awesome is he said that... I can't remember. The struggle of success is that you have to say no. The more popular that you get, the more people like what you're doing. I mean, it's awesome, but the negative is you then have to say no to lots of things because it's just overwhelming. You can't do what your passion because everyone wants you to do blank, 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 blank. And I think that was a really kind of insightful observation. And it's a hard thing. I mean, I myself, and I know a lot of people that really struggle with saying no. You have an instinct to try to say why or, make an excuse. And I've gotten a lot better in the last few years of just saying, I'm not going to be able to do that. Or I'm unavailable. Or I'll do my best to make it. Or I'll see if I can try to make it. About engagements or things because... in the big picture, if someone is a friend of mine, I don't think they would want me to do something that would make me uncomfortable or stressed or unhappy. And if what's the phrase, like, a weak no is a strong yes? I don't know, is that what it is? Or, I don't know, but something like that. Like, if you don't practice and become aware of setting your boundaries, and then you let other people dictate your life, and you feel resentful, and you end up being in places, situations, obligations that are being put upon you. And that is frustrating. So then instead of saying no and having that person have a split second of like, that then's gone, you then have a that lasts for weeks. And it's, especially some of us that are pleasers, the idea of having somebody go is so like, oh my gosh, I have somebody that I've been delaying talking to right now because I need to tell them something that I don't think they want to hear. So I'm saying this for myself as well. But we just gotta, it's the thing that has been helping me specifically lately is that mantra of get present, have integrity, align with love. And that if I go to that place and then state, I'm unable to do it. What? Why not? I just have too much going on. I mean, I usually don't get into a story, but in my head, at least I've justified it like, okay, am I in integrity by saying no here? Sure. Okay. No. Healthy boundaries have changed my life, says Margot. Whew, that is a good one. Thank you for the link, being some answer. You can't be everyone's tech guy. That is a very true statement, Spanky. And that's something, like I gotten into some challenging situations, with my family and with, because, I was the computer person. And then the problem is that I can do some things, but I would constantly get in a situation where I'm like, I don't know. And then they're frustrated, and I'm frustrated because I let them down. But it's just, especially if it's something that you do or have done professionally, I think it's just acceptable to just tell people, I just can't afford to do this work for free. Just because I'm good at something doesn't mean that I will, do it for you for free, because I have a limited amount of time, and quite frankly, I can fill it all. So if you're going to ask me to do something for you that is actually a paid thing that people get paid to do, and you want me to do it because you don't want to pay, now I've taken my free time for a job, not as that's different than like, hey, I need a shoulder to cry on. It's like, no, can you do a job that I normally like? It's like saying, hey, you're awesome at cleaning. Can you come clean my bathroom? Maybe people do that. Maybe I should do that. Well, what do you say? Not for pay, but it just takes time. Well, but if they're not paying you, it's someone is asking your resources, and your resources is your time. And if people are not going to pay you for their time, they're saying that your time is worth nothing, or that it's because this is a task that is a professional thing. They could pay someone to do it. So if they're saying they want you to do it instead, it's just that's time that you could be working or doing something else. It's different than like, hey, let's all have fun and do like, I don't know, like moving maybe, I guess. Although at the same time, if someone asks me to help them move, I'm like, can I chip in for movers? Because as you're right, Spanky, that when you take money out of it, you're like, look, I'm just asking you a favor. It doesn't feel like such an a obnoxious request. I was just kind of mentioning money almost to try to like demonstrate that it's a lot to ask someone, Like I remember back in the day, everybody wanted me to help them make a website, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. And in fact, working with friends, often I find to be more challenging than working with a client, because it's much harder to fire a friend than it is to fire a client. And I don't mean to discourage, doing favors for friends or bartering or whatever the situation is, but when you feel like that, if you can do something from joy and say, sweet, I'd love to spend some time with you, I'll come on over and I'll help you. I'll feel good helping you. That's gifting, +1 +1. If it's like, I'm the only one you know with a truck, that's not gifting. That's getting pulled into an obligation, and then you have resentment and nobody wins. Sorry. You talked about Capricorn in your latest blog? Awesome, Ella. Did you send me a link to it? I'd love to see. Kaki, thank you so much. This afternoon, I think I was talking about, maybe I was just talking a minute ago. It's all blurring together. About, I'm comfortable using the term life coach because I think there's all sorts of training and a little bit of a style of life coaching, and I don't really think that I am that kind of coach at all. I think that what I would be more comfortable saying, I use the terms joy coach on my site, and even the more I thought about it, I'm almost more like a joy advocate. Like someone that would, sometimes you have an advocate that goes with you into court to argue your case, and if you are facing the world and the world is kind of beating you down, I can be an advocate to help you see that you're perfect, you're awesome, you're amazing, and we can help you reframe certain scenarios or things, stories in your life to try to access the joy that's waiting for you, as long as if you could have a better perspective on things. We'll see. I'm trying some new stuff. I kind of feel like I haven't had a ton of experience as a life coach, but I have a lot of experience as a joy advocate and joy coach. So I'm excited to kind of try it in a more organized fashion. Can I talk more about things that keep repeating in your life until you learn, like unhealthy relationships, says Sunbeam. Life is short pointed about that there's professional, if you do things, there's also liability also. So, things that repeat in your life. That is such a... sometimes there's a great line, and I'm trying to remember who said it. Jacob is the one who passed it on, but I don't know who said it originally. But it was that, what is the common denominator of all the upsets in your life? You were there. And so what we tend to do is we have a script of the way we think things are supposed to be, whether we have it consciously or not. We have a partner, we meet them, and then over time we realize that person doesn't fit the script, and we're not aware of it, but we are doing our own things that are activating these struggles. Things are stirring us up, we're stirring other people up. And so we often think, man, why do I keep attracting assholes? Because you're going to keep doing that until you figure this lesson out. You'll just find a new person to act out the same script, the same issue. And I think that happens with almost everything in your life, that if there's... Bea and I have been talking about this a lot lately, about when you look at the timeline of your life, you start to see, oh my gosh, I've had to struggle with the same type person or boss, over and over again. Or I've had the same thing come up in relationships over and over again. And it's because I believe that's what we're here for. We're here to learn lessons. We're here to grow. And if you fail the class, meaning whatever the issue is, it gets you stirred up and you get angry and you feel like, until you learn how to be compassionate and forgiving and loving in these situations, you'll keep getting them. And so you can get rid of a partner and go find a new one, and then that'll come up again until you can be okay with it, and then you can move on to the next thing. As far as an unhealthy relationship, I think a lot of that, an unhealthy relationship, what is determined by how you are in it. I mean, if the other person is being physically violent to you or verbally violent or hurting you in some way, then that's obviously unhealthy. But then beyond that, what makes it unhealthy is what you bring to it, what your attachment is, what your expectations are. If you could have a healthy relationship with somebody who is, in a vegetative state, because your expectations are so low, all you do is love them, and is that unhealthy? Now, if you take it a few steps more and that person is on the couch all the time and not getting a job, they're spending all your money, then you create a story about what they should and shouldn't do. Now it's unhealthy. Now you suffer. You can find it hard to love that person at that point. In that situation, I would say the lesson that you need to figure out is, can I either accept this person exactly for the lazy ass they are and keep loving them for what they are, a practically vegetative state person, or do I deal with the lesson by saying, I need to be clear with my boundaries and establish what I will accept in my world, and this lifestyle, and taking my resources and using it in ways that I'm not okay with, that's not a relationship and then it's either about acceptance or boundary setting. I haven't thought that all the way through, but that's what I'm going to say right now. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a private message question. Oops, it didn't give me a URL. That's right. Margot says, people love to create stories and live in the past. So good to write a healthy life story for myself because no one will do it for you. That is such a massive idea that sometimes we feel like, when people say don't forget where you came from. Like, really? But what if that story anchors me to an identity that limits who I am in the world? I'm this person right now. And if the story that I tell about myself limits that, or brings guilt, or brings woundedness, or brings whatever into this now, well, then that fucking story is a problem. And we need to find a way to tell that story in a way that can empower me. So that even if I've taken damage, even if I've gone through tough times, the story needs to be set up, figured out, so that where I am now is capable, amazing, powerful, perfect. Because the story is a total fiction. In the now, the story it's all in your imagination. The now only exists as this. So if you have a story that you're pulling into the now and bringing in baggage and horrible things into the now, you are sabotaging your life. Yeah, you can post a link to your coach, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's I think that's the standard, is that, we live in our stories. I mean, it was transformative to me to even understand that you can question your beliefs. You can question your thoughts. Oh, wait a minute. Just because I thought it doesn't mean it's true. Just mean, whoa. That when you start to kind of get this, like, my world is determined by what I think the world is. I will find evidence for what I believe in, and I will see and notice things that I'm looking for. And so if I think that I'm cursed, I will find evidence of that everywhere. I tell myself, I lead a charmed life. Jacob has this thing, I think he says, life loves me. Anytime anything happens, he's like, life loves me. Oh wow, look at that, life loves me. And that story, life loves me, creates a path, or at least allows you to see a path that is all about you being blessed. Whereas if your story is, I'm unlucky, that's the path you're going to be walking down. So we are approaching the 7 o'clock hour. Favorite mantra? I mean, the ones that I go back to all the time are love more, fear less, float more, steer less. And I go with get present, have integrity, align with love. Be here now, or Byron Katie's version of that, which is man sitting in chair, where anytime you get caught up in a story and you're having stress about something that's not even happening, it's a story about what might happen, you go, wait a minute, what is true right now? Man sitting in a chair, talking to camera. Everything else, that, oh, what if the archive's not working? What if I'm being misunderstood? What if I got a booger in my nose? What if... No, none of that is even true. Man sitting in a chair. Every day in every way I'm getting better. Nice. You would tell me if I had a booger? I've actually, the problem is on the webcam you wouldn't notice, but I've had like the video archive, which is high res, and I'm like, oh, bummer. What are you gonna do? All right, you amazing people. Well, I'm just now taking a few people for coaching, if that's interesting to you. Shoot me a note and we can talk about it. I would love that. I mean, if you get Hug Nation, then I mean, it's like it'd be fun to work together. You know, and it's, I have a coach that I see twice a month that I have found incredibly helpful, and I think that, you know, it's not like going to a doctor and they've got medicine for you. It's a coach. You know, like you got to still dribble and do the baskets, but someone on the outside goes, oh, you know what, your elbow is inward. I say, you know what, as you're telling me that story, you keep apologizing for whatever. All right, you glowing perfect beings. Thank you for adding your love and your light and allowing this vibration to be a part of all of us. The once a week recalibration is absolutely priceless to me. I hope that you feel that recalibration and it strengthens you so that you can go and be your best self in the world. That is winning. That is all we ask. Be you, because it's perfect. I love you. See you next week.